My last semester at a certain college, I was assaulted by a football player for walking where he was trying to drive. Worth mentioning, he was 325 pounds and I was 120, soaking wet. While I was unconscious on the ground, I lived a completely different life. I met a wonderful young lady. She made my heart skip and my face red. I pursued her for months and dispatched a few jerk boyfriends before I finally won her over. And after 2 years, we got married, and almost immediately she bore me a daughter. I had a great job, and my wife didn't have to work outside of the house. When my daughter was 2, my wife bore me a son. My son was the joy of my life. I could walk into his room every morning before I left for work and doted on him and my daughter. But one day, while I was sitting on the couch, I noticed that the perspective of the lamp was odd, like it was inverted. It was still 3D, but it was just wrong. I was completely transfixed. I couldn't look away from it. I stayed up all night staring at it, and the next morning I didn't go to work. Something was just not right about that lamp. I stopped eating. I left the couch only to use the bathroom at first. Soon I stopped that too, as I wasn't eating or drinking. I stared at that fucking lamp for 3 days before my wife got really worried. She had someone come and try to talk to me, but this time my cognizance was starting to break up and my wife was freaking out. She took the kids to her mother's house before I had my epiphany. That lamp, that fucking lamp, was not real. The house was not real. My wife, my kids, none of that was real. The last 10 years of my life are not fucking real. The lamp started to grow wider and deeper. It was still inverted with its dimensions. It took up the entire perspective of my house, and all I could see was red. I heard voices, screams, all kind of weird noises, and I became aware of this pain, a shit ton of pain. The first words I said were, "I'm missing teeth," and I opened my eyes. I was laid on my back on the sidewalk, surrounded by people I didn't know. Lots were freaking out. I was completely confused. At some point, a cop scooped me up and drag-walked me across the sidewalk and grass and threw me face down in the back of a cop car. I was still confused. I was taken to the hospital by the cop. Seems he didn't want to have to wait for the ambulance to arrive. And given CT scans and all that shit. I went through about 3 years of horrid depression. I was grieving the loss of my wife and children and dealing with the knowledge that they had just never existed. I was scared that I was going insane as I would cry myself to sleep, hoping I could see her in my dreams. I never have, but sometimes I see my boy. Usually just a glimpse out of the corner of my eyes. He's perpetually 5 years old, and I can never hear what he says. I guess I would never thought anybody'd hear this. By the way, I changed a single line while I was writing this down. Seems my 2-year-old daughter bore a child. She's not 2 anymore either. I've never seen Inception or that Star Trek episode you're all talking about. No, I'm not going to do an AMA. I've had many PMs describing similar experiences and 3 posters stating such experiences are impossible. I'd say more research needs to be done on brain functions. Pre-med students, don't assume you know everything. A few have asked if they could write a book, a screenplay, a stage play, or whatever. Please consider this tale open source and have fun with it.